Hello friends, happy to see you here. Today we are going to paint this. A painting of some withered sunflowers. And we're going to paint this wet in wet most of the time. And I will guide you step by step. And we're also going to use some table salt in the painting to make some nice effects. At the end of the video, I will show you what I do to straighten my watercolor paper, as it has a tendency to bulk, especially when we're using quite a lot of water, as we will be doing in this painting. And please remember to like and subscribe if you are happy with this video. That would really mean a lot to me and to this channel. Thank you.
I'm Miriam, an artist residing in beautiful Denmark. I do paintings in watercolor, wash, acrylics, well, pretty much any medium I can lay my hands on. I'm here to help you learn how to make beautiful paintings and learn different skills in mainly watercolor but also mixed media. Come, join me and let's paint some beautiful paintings together. If I can do it, you can do it. And here you have the reference photo taken by me, and here comes a pencil sketch you can use. And here you see the colors we're going to use. I begin the painting with putting on a base layer on the petal of the sunflowers, and I do that with the deep yellow color. This is to put some paint on the paper. Later on we will begin to define the leaves or the petal of the flowers some more. And but at the moment, as you can see, I also lift off some paint in some places to have lighter areas. So you can do that as well. Then it's just on with the paints. You can look at the reference photo and make sure you don't paint the green leaves of the flowers. And there's a part of the sunflower, the upper sunflower, where there are some yellow leaves missing, so you have to avoid painting those yellow. Now I continue with the second sunflower and put in a base color there as well. And now it's time to paint the left leaf of the painting, or at least put in the ground color. And I begin with putting in the yellow-green here. And then I will begin to dab in some of the other colors as well. And this is just the first layer of the leaf. We will go in later and put some more paint on. Now I have mixed up a very watery Indian red, and I dab that in. I look at the reference photo and see where the leaf has some different colors in. And here it's the undersea green, also a very watery mix. And I dab it in. And it's quite important to look at the reference photo. Now it's time to put in color on the green leaves of the sunflower. And I begin with putting on a base layer, and this is the yellow-green. I must admit I would have wished I made the layer a little bit darker, because later on it was a bit difficult to see what the petal of the flower was and what was the green leaves of the flower. So there's a tip for you: put in some more green so you can distinguish it between the petals of the flower. And here I go up to the upper sunflower and put in the yellow-green as well. And I've put up the reference photo so that you can see where the leaves are green and where the leaves are yellow. And here I put the base layer on the second leaf of the sunflower, the big leaves, and the stem as well. And now I darken it a bit with the undersea green. And I look at the reference photo again and see where I can see there's some darker shadows, and I go in there with the undersea green or even the Indian red. And here I forgot to put in some yellow leaves, so I just correct that and put in some yellow color here. Now for the darker parts of the leaves, I introduce the Payne's Grey as well. I have it in a clean mix, and I also mix it a little bit with the undersea green. But when I want it really dark, I use the clean color. I like to wet the area where I'm going to paint first, because that makes the colors flow together and I won't have so many hard edges. But you have to be a little bit careful when you're painting the leaves and see where the color goes when you look at the reference photo. Going to go in and paint this, and I begin with wetting this part of the painting and make sure it's not soaking wet. Then I have mixed the yellow green with the undersea green, and I dab that in here at the bottom of the leaf. And then I take a darker mix of the undersea green, dab it in here along the edge, and then it will flow out because the paper is wet. Put a little bit down here as well. And this is how I do it. I wet the area where I'm going to work first, and then I dab in some colors, and I mix between, I have mixed the colors, the yellow green and undersea green, and sometimes I use sap green, but I think sap green comes in a bit later in this painting. And then I work my way through the leaf and make some definitions with the paint. You could also paint this a lot more freely, but I chose to paint it like this in this tutorial and show you how I do that. And now I'm going to work on the leaves on the lower sunflower. And like always, I begin with wetting the first leaf. I paint the leaves leaf by leaf, and if there's an area that's wet when I'm going to the next leaf, I skip that and go to a leaf so the colors won't flow together, because I want the colors to stay in. If you were painting loose, you wouldn't mind all the colors would flow together, but I am not painting a loose painting, so I want it to stay in. And here you can see that the first leaf I was painting is now dry, and then I can go ahead and paint the leaf behind it, because now the colors won't flow together. And I like to first wet the petal or the leaf, and then I go along the edge with the color and let it flow into the leaf, and then I see how I think that looks, and then I can always dab in some more colors here and there. But I also want to keep some areas light in the leaf, because that looks more natural. And as you can see, I'm taking my time with it. When you paint like this, it takes some time, but the results are very beautiful, I think. And here I go in with some burnt orange. This is the shadow of the petals of the flower. And I have wet the petal first, and I put in the ground color, and now I dab in some of the burnt orange. And the color I'm using now is a mix between the Indian red and the yellow color. And I mix a lot between these three colors and also the burnt orange to make different yellow colors to use in the painting. And again, I look at the reference photo to see where there are darker areas on the petals. And then I go in with some darker colors there. You don't have to do it like that. You could also just paint by intuition and make some dark areas and some light areas and take off some colors. I think that will be perfectly fine as well. And now I paint the upper petals of the lower sunflower in the painting. I'm sure there's a better way to say that, but yeah, my English is my best, as you say. And here I go in with a lighter yellow color, and then I dab in some orange. And here along the edge I put in some burnt umber. Okay, so now I'm going to paint this stem, I think it's called, on the sunflower. I hope you can see it. And the color is another color than the leaves. So I have to try and see if I can make it look different than the leaves. But what I've done is I've mixed up a very watery mix of the undersea green with a little bit of Payne's gray, and I think I will do what I normally do. I will wet the paper first so the paint can flow together. And then I will put in the very light green wash. So I have mixed up some Indian red, a very watery mix of Indian red, and I'm going to dab that in here in the wet color. This gives a very nice effect, and it helps for it to not look like the leaves on the plant. So perhaps I will just make the green color a little bit stronger. And now it's time to paint the middle of the flower. And the middle of the flower is very dark. But I can see that there's, in the middle of the flower, there's also some light parts here in the middle. It's not just all dark. So
First I will wet the whole middle of the flower, and then I will put paint in, and then I will try and sprinkle some salt to see if I can get that a little lighter effect in the middle of the flower. And I have mixed up a dark mix between burnt umber and Payne's Grey. And now I begin to dab it in. And I actually feel like I want to drop in some of the Indian red just to make it interesting. And this is directly from my color palette, from the half pan. I just put in a little bit of the Indian red as well. Just to make it a bit more interesting. And then I want to put in some salt, and I put some in my hand because I don't want too much and I have more control over it. I just put a few in the middle of the flower head. And yeah, I hope that this will give a nice effect in the painting. I hope you can see what I've done. So, and now we have to let it dry and then see how it turns out. And the other one is a mix between the yellow and the burnt orange. And the third one here is a mix between the burnt orange and the Indian red. So I hope you can see. And these are the three colors I will use up here. And I will do like I did with the flower down here. I will first wet the leaf of the flower, and then I will dab in the paint. And I have provided a reference photo for you so you can see ish where the darker colors will be in the painting. So, but don't get too caught up with the reference photo, because it can also be so tiresome. So sometimes you just put in some color and then you let it do its thing, and that's when the magic happens. But let's go ahead with the first one. I wet the leaf. And then I begin with the yellow. And I just move the paint around a bit to make sure it's even on the leaf. Then I go in with the orange yellow and I dab some color in here in the middle, because there's some shadow in the middle. And then in the bottom of the leaf I will put in the orange red mix, like down here. Oh, I'll just zoom in because then you'll be able to see it much better. Here I dab in a little bit of the dark mix. I could also see a little bit of shadow up here, so I just very lightly dab in some colors like that. And then I let it dry, and then I dry And then I continue with another leaf that is not touching the wet one, because then the colors will run together and all your hard work is over. So yeah, all your hard work is wasted was what I was going to say. So I will continue with this sleeve up here, and I will just wet it, and I don't want it to be too wet because then everything will just, you know, get all bulky. And yeah, so I take off some of the water as well, and then I will start with the yellow color like I did with the other leaf. I just put it all over the leaf to begin with. Then I put some darker color in here because there's some shadow here. I can see that on the reference photo. And then I use the darkest one along the pencil line I can see here in the drawing. So a dabbing color along the edge of that. And then I let it run together. And then this has to dry. And you do that all the way around. And then we can come back and make some more definition later on. Now that this one is dry, I'm thinking about the leaf underneath. And I thought I would try out to put in another color to make it more interesting. So I have made a very watery mix of the Indian red, and I will try to put that in here. I have actually done that on a leaf down here, you can see here. So I will try that here and see if it looks okay. And how that would turn out. And it's just to have some areas with some lighter paint and some more areas with some darker paint, and create some interest in the painting, so it just doesn't look the same all the way around. So we'll see how that would look when it dries. Now I have wet the leaf down here, and like I told you before, I don't want everything to look the same. So in this leaf I will take the yellow-orange mix and not begin with the yellow mix, but with the yellow-orange instead. So we skip the yellow, well, it's only the yellow color, and then we take the mix with the orange and the yellow. And this is just to make the leaves vary, because in nature they do not all look the same, and there's some light from the sun and so many things going on. So yeah, and I will probably mix up a very light green mix as well, to put in some places, just to make interest. This is the red-orange mix I'm dabbing in here, because there's probably a shadow from the first leaf. So this leaf down underneath it will be darker. And you can also lift up off some colors as well to make interest. And I take a damp brush, and then I just dry off some of the paint to make some interest in the leaf. And I thought I would just show you that here I have dabbed in a little bit of green, because I think also the leaves reflect on the flower head. So it's natural that it's there, I think. So, but not too much. It's a very watery mix because we don't want it to dominate the leaf. You want to get the impression that the leaf of the flower is still, or the petal of the flower is still yellow. So now I just want to show you, I'm going to define some more on this leaf, and there's a pencil line here, so I wet after that the rest of the leaf. I wet, I can't speak today, sorry for that. And then I put in a darker color along the edge. Because then it will be more clear that there's an edge here. Perhaps it's not dark enough, so I go and grab some darker color like that. And because the whole leaf is wet, it mixes nicely together and there won't be a lot of hard edges. So there you go. And this is just how far I've gone at this stage. And it takes some time to paint like this, but I feel like it's worth all the effort because you end up with such a beautiful result in the end. So even though it takes some time, it's just so much worth the while. I really love to sit and just enjoy myself with this, and as we say in Danish, hygge. It's so hyggeligt to sit and do this and just listen to some nice music while you're painting, and you know, just enjoying the process. And that's what painting is all about to me. I really love that. I know people use painting for different things. Some people use it to show their feelings and to like a psychotherapy or something like that, but this is just so calming to me. I really enjoy this, so I hope you do too. And yeah, let's get on with the painting. And so now I'm almost finished with the second sunflower, or at least the petal of the second sunflower. And I think there will be places where I will just glaze some yellow color over the leaves to get them to be a bit more vibrant. Like this, for instance, I will glaze clean yellow color over this, and it will look more vibrant. Because I think in some places it's too light in the color, so I think I will glaze this one as well. Some of the places where I tried out to put the reddish, the Indian red, I think I want to glaze it because I think it will look better. So in this painting, in another painting, it might have worked out very well. So it's just to try things out and see how it goes. Now I'm glazing this one. And glazing is just that you put one color over something you have already colored. So, and because watercolor is transparent, you can see the other colors you've put in before through the paint. So it can give some very nice effects in a painting when you do it like that. I will perhaps also go in and darken it in some places when everything is dried again, to make it pop some more, but perhaps I will put in the middle first and then see how everything looks. But I think the next step of the painting will be to paint the green leaves in the sunflowers up here and around the flower. So that will be the next part. Now I also want to show you how the center of this first flower looked like. This was where we put in some salt, and this has given a nice effect in the middle of the flower. And so now it's not just brown red, but it has some lighter parts in the middle of the flower, like in the reference photo. So I really love this. You never know with salt. Sometimes it's very effective and suck up a lot of the paint, and sometimes it just go in and not that visible, but gives a nice effect. So you have to try out what works. You don't know every time how it works, so yeah, but I like the effect. This is just how I want it, so that's great. Okay, so now we are going to paint this part, and the sunflower has lost some petals here because it's withering, and this has another green color. These leaves has another green color than the leaves out here. So I will show you. I've mixed up some colors. This is the yellow green with some of the undersea green mixed together, and this is the undersea green with some Payne's gray in it. This is the Indian red, just pure Indian red, and this is a mix between Indian red and undersea green, because there are some brownish colors in working here. So these are the colors I will use for those. Yeah, and I will do as I did before. I will wet the first petal, or the first leaf. I don't know what you call this. Petal or leaf. But I will begin with wetting it. I will just zoom in a bit so you can watch better. And then I will put the light green color in here. Just dab it in. And along the edge here. And so just go in with a clean damp brush, and I just take some of the water off so it won't be too wet. Now I will just show you how I paint a petal, where I'm using some of the red as well. So I wet this sleeve again. And now I go in with the the green and paints gray mix, and I dab in the color. Then I go in with a little bit of the light green as well. And then we will need some of the red. And I just dab in a little bit and a little bit up here. Then I take off some of the color. Like that. There you go, you got another leaf. And you just shift between the different colors and variate them. And that will give it a very nature-like look. Yes, and now you can see I have finished all the green leaves around the sunflower head. And I put some more color in here. I just enhanced the colors that was there already. And now it's time to make the center of the flower, and I will do a similar thing to what I did with the other flower. And I will sprinkle some salt in down here to make this effect as well in this flower. Yes, so let's go with that. And I will begin with wetting the middle of the flower with water, so that the colors will flow and I won't be having any hard edges. As you can see here, I've mixed up a good amount of the burnt umber and Payne's gray. And then I just begin to dab in the color. I will also dab in some of the Indian red on this one. I think that gives a nice touch to the painting. Then I will put in some salt. I put some in my hands first, so I won't lose control over it. I think I will put some down here in the bottom half of the flower. and a little up here. And then we have to let it dry. So now this is dry, and you can see the salt has done its job here, and I really like this effect. And I'll just zoom out a little bit. You can choose to call the painting finished now, but I want to put in a background, and I would like the background to be a bit rustic, so I'm going to do the background in Payne's Gray, and I will also use some salt here. This would give the painting a bit of a rustic look. If you're not into that, you could choose to put in another color background. It could be, if we have the color circle here, opposite of the yellow is the violet. That could be a beautiful background. You could make it not so strong. The opposite color of the green is red violet, actually, so that could be beautiful as well. It would make the painting quite interesting. You could also choose a color that lies next to the green, like blue green or more bluish. Yeah, that's some options you have. I can see if I can find a painting with a purple background. I think I've made one of those. I'll return in a little bit. So I found it, and this is a painting I made early on in my watercolor journey, and I really think these two colors are very pretty together. But this is just to show you what you can do with the background if you prefer that. So let's get started with this one. So I will begin, like always, to wet the background, and I will do it piece by piece because else it will dry before I'm finished. So I just wet a little piece of the background, put in some color, and then I wet the background again. So I've made quite a dark mix of the Payne's Gray. And what you could have done is you could have begun with making the background, and you could have masked everything out in the flowers, and then it would be easier to just put color in the background. But this time I chose to do it like this. So. And I don't mind that the paint will run some, so in a little bit I will lift up the board to make the paint run. I'll also put in some clean water, so until the bottom. And of course I will be careful that it won't touch the flower down here. So I'll just soak up some of the water. flat again. Take the salt and put in some. I almost forgot. And now, while the background is dry, I'll go in some places and glaze with a bit of lemon yellow or Hansa yellow light on the flower, just to give it some more yellow colors in some places and make the painting more interesting. I won't do it on all the leaves, just some of them, to create some variation in the colors, because I think this flower up here needs a little bit of some more colors, I think, because the color is very similar on the whole painting. So I have to be careful not to put my brush into the salt, because it's not very good for the brush. So take care of your brush. I really love that. So. And now it's time to remove the masking tape. I will use my hairdryer so I don't tear my watercolor paper.
And there you go, the finished painting. I really hope you enjoyed painting this with me. I did my best to show you how I do it. And now I will show you what I do to press my watercolor paper after I've painted it. I have 2 boards. It's gypsum boards, and I wet my painting on the back side, and then I put some kitchen towel on top. There's also a kitchen towel in the bottom. I wet it quite a bit and put the kitchen towel on top. And then I put the board on top, and then I put a heavy thing on top and let it press for about 2 to 3 days. And to tie your papers straight. If you want to see some more videos, please go to my YouTube channel. I have a lot more videos there. Bye for now.